edition of Windows on Current Affairs, and today we take a look over building the Egyptian character. And this is also including or included in the 17 goals of, or according to the vision of 2030 and 17 goals of sustainable development. It's not mentioned specifically, but it is included in the developments. And also today we're going to be talking about how could we build the Egyptian character according to the directives of the leading role of our President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who have taken that initiative of building the Egyptian character ever since he stepped into office. We're going to be taking a closer look over what are his means to build the Egyptian characters, what are the steps taken, and also the different projects that were meant to be able to enforce that particular plan. I'm very delighted to be having with us live here in the studio Dr. Hanadi Ragae, and she's institutional development consultant and a professor of human development at one of the prominent universities in Cairo. Good evening, Dr. Ragae. How are you doing?
Good evening, Dina. I'm fine. How are you?
It's nice to see you again.
Thank you so much.
So we are talking about building the Egyptian character. Of course, building the Egyptian character was something new to our nation, because we came out of two revolutions and we were totally devastated, and there was the fear of dissection between different forces of the country, and we almost got rid of the terrorist organization that wanted to steal Egypt, and we conquered terrorism, and we became leading experience to the whole world and everything, you know,
yes.
All the stories that unfolded. But building the Egyptian character in the middle of all that, as soon as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, so as to speak, taking into office, setting his feet into office, he talked about building the Egyptian character before anything else.
Yes.
So let us first define what is building the character, I mean, inside citizens of a nation. I mean, when we talk about building a character, we talk about parenthood, we talk about our kids, new generations and all that. But a president building a character of citizens, I mean, that was new to us. But later on, as events unfolded, it was proven that it was the core point of everything. He was right.
Yes, absolutely. He is very right, because when he started his mission, since he entered his office, and he started with a human capital for the Egyptian people, to build the character is something not easy, by the way. Even in organizations, if we talk about this in a small scale, you are trying to change a culture, you are trying to change the mindset of the people, and this is a very huge mission for all the heads of any organization. So can you imagine that the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, he raised the flag that no, I will change the Egyptian citizens' characters. And actually he succeeded in this mission during all these previous years, because we start changing our mindset, the way of thinking, and we start to build our visions and futures. He's looking at, and he's pointing finger for the youth, for example, women empowerment, for handicrafts, PWDs. All these people, I think it was, you know, a big surprise for all the world that the Egyptian citizens start to change the way of even their lives, motherhood, even the women empowerment. All the Egyptian women start thinking about her future. Even she is a mommy. If we go back to the old and Egypt nations, that the mommy has to stay in home, we don't care about her
as
feelings.
A housewife.
Yes, absolutely, yes. We don't care about her feelings, her emotions, you know, her image. But nowadays, the lady, she is starting to be a very particular and a very important arm in economics by her handling a lot of, even if it's as SMEs projects, but she's trying to be a part of this society. And this is what he mentioned all over the time. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, he said that the Egyptian lady, she has a big part and she has a big objective in this life. and he succeeded. As we can mention that the women empowerment in Egypt, Dina, is, you know, going forward in a very, very fast steps. And nowadays, you can even find the vibes everywhere. Not only, I'm not talking about only the women or the women empowerment, but the vibes everywhere. Every single citizen and every person in this society is trying to work hard. As he mentioned in all his speech, that we have to work, we have to build our country. As you mentioned also, we have 2 revolutions, inflations, and we have a COVID-19. You know, this is not an easy. But this is Egypt, and this is the Egyptians. We used to face all the change management, as if we can mention it like that, and we can face our life with every, you know, if any type of obstacles, we can, you know, just adjust this, and we can cope, and we can understand all the obstacles, and we can work with it.
The reason President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi started off with building the Egyptian character before anything else, though that he had in his mind, and we have seen lots and lots of projects and lots of plans to be able to develop with Egypt at every corner, on a social front, on an economic front, on a security front, to start off with firsthand, and everything. But he first talked about building the Egyptian character. When he was asked, he said, I won't be able to succeed in anything or enforce or empower anything inside the country without building a nation first from its core.
Exactly.
Without building the character of citizens. And what did he mean by building the character of citizens? Did he mean by that empowering and building the awareness, the right awareness of people, probably building the culture, a modern culture, a very civilized culture? And this is exactly what we were, because he saw that the root of every terrorism and every evil is lack of culture.
Yes, exactly.
People who become prone or become victims for terrorist groups or recruited by terrorist groups, they lack culture.
Yes.
They lack awareness, and that's why they are withdrawn easily to the traps of the terrorism, terrorist groups. So he had that vision, and he started off with building the character. If you like to elaborate and more, I mean, to explain to us more.
Exactly, yes. When we are changing these cultures, or the lack of cultures and lack of awareness, it's exactly, you know, he shoot the objective, Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, our president, because of when you don't know about anything, that makes you fear about the future. And once you feel that you do not understand and you cannot cope with this change, all the human beings, they start fear, and they would resist this change. So President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, he said, let me start with the human capital. And this is what we have exactly, Dina, in the management. When you want to manage a big and a huge organization, you have to take care about the culture, because this is a very big enemy. So that's why the terrorism in Egypt always start to shoot on religion in Egypt, and start to talk about this in a very aggressive way. So the society and the citizens in Egypt start, you know, hate each others, and they lose the control, and we lost the communication, the proper communication with each others. So the ethics start also, you know, once you feel that there is a lack of safety, there is a lack of security in your life, you start being aggressive to defend yourself. So he mentioned this, and he has a vision in this. So he said, let me first make my people, let me first make the human assets in Egypt feeling security, feeling safe, and he always insists about this. You know, once he started his mission, he start with this file, the safety. As you remember before, you know, we solve all the revolutions, reasons, and this, we start fear about walking in the streets, dealing with the strange people, and always, of course, the media start mentioning some, you know, not truths, you know, newses. That's why he point to this. First of all, the security. When we come to our culture, by nature, the Egyptian people, they are very emotional societies, and they can believe, and they have, we are humble, you know. So anyone, he can drag your attention with any small videos, you know, on social medias. So that's why he was very smart in this, and he started tell, no, my people, please be aware, be smart. We have a different type of war. We don't have a soldiers, at that time I mean, we don't have a soldiers, and we start a very, you know, clear war. No, it was a hidden resistance, and it was a hidden war, and it's very hard even to start a war and you don't know who is my enemy. And that's what Egypt faced maybe more than 10 years before. So that's why, if you can find what happens during these years, the Egyptian people, they start more and more aware, even the youth, they know how to build their futures. They know that he has a president is thinking about him, and because they are the future leaders. So I think we have an amazing journey, and he will complete this journey. I'm quite sure about this.
Of course, he already have come a long way, and he have achieved a lot of successes on many steps.
Exactly.
But he started off with building the Egyptian characters, then he went on by developing with the education and health files, and then the infrastructural projects, and you know the rest.
Yes.
So, but going back to the building the Egyptian character, building the Egyptian, the reason he was so keen on building the Egyptian character reflected a very important fact, which is that the Egyptian citizen, or citizens at large, are the pillars of any development,
Absolutely.
of any history.
Yes.
I mean, without characters or without citizens, good citizens, aware citizens, well-educated, healthy citizens, they have a strong, good culture, there won't be any renaissance, and there won't be any development, no matter how we try.
Yes. Actually, the files that he started immediately in a parallel way, it was the health file, if you remember, and then the education, because how are you gonna start your new life, your new character, and your health is little bit, it's not okay. Okay, so this file took a long time with him to start, you know, virus C, the cancers, breast cancers, bahiyas, and all of the, you know, these type of societies. So when once you have a door that you can knock it to talk about your health, you can start work. But this also, it was one of the weapons that used against Egypt, that our health wasn't okay before President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. But nowadays we have a lot of healthcare centers caring about even on all diseases. Okay, education, you can find also even undergrad or postgrads, a lot of knowledge hubs starting in Egypt. What that means, our coming generations, they will have a different mindset, different way of thinking. Our future leaders completely, they will be different than before. And even if we are talking about the proper lifestyle, like Hayy al-Asmarat, like these areas that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi insists to have for the Egyptian citizens, a proper and acceptable lifestyle. Because without this one, definitely the human being will be a very aggressive, and you know, he will never listen about any another type of development. Even when we want to develop any type, if we talk again in a small scale, when we want to develop, and you start to put your strategy, as he mentioned in Vision 2030, he said that the first pillars was the people, or the, you know, the objectives. If you read them, you were gonna find that he started with people, youth, again, and as I mentioned. So once we start have the awareness, once we start have the proper education, so we can talk, we can negotiate, Never anyone can cheat us, or some of, you know, weapons will be coming from a different, you know, era. This is very normal. But at least the human capital is ready. This was an amazing and a very brilliant, you know, ideas that he make it to start with the human development. And I'm sure that we will continue with the people, because developing people, it's not that easy. And this journey, it's not a short journey, Dina. Even in the work, once you're gonna develop a type of people, you start to find, if I'm talking with, you know, using human resources abbreviations, I'm looking for a KPIs to start setting people and allocating the peoples that I have in a proper area according to your skills, your knowledge, your type of education. Because if what Dina can do, maybe I cannot do. And this is very normal. This is life. That's why we need to figure out the people that will help this country, pushing Egypt forward more and more. So people is the first pillar that we have to work.
The foundation of
yes,
any development.
absolutely, the foundation.
But then let us take a look or review together the most important steps and initiatives that he took. Simple social initiatives that he took
yes.
To be able to push forward with developing the Egyptian character. Together, let's review those projects.
Yes, okay. We have, for example, in education, as we mentioned, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, he opened all the investors to come to Egypt. So now you have a lot of, you know, international universities. Even if even the license or the subsidiaries from everywhere, you can find it here in Egypt, and you can find the branches, you know, making the master degrees and the PhD degrees. Most of ministries and universities, the highest honor, they can travel abroad with no any type of charge, and it's a type of motivation, and he's helping us. If we are talking about health, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, he said that this is a very big file, and as I remember, and everyone know, once this file started, unfortunately, we found the COVID-19, but even this, I can mention that we are one of the most successful countries can face these disasters with a less, you know, losses, which is very normal. This is life. Breastfeeding, breast cancer, Bahia, and also
the health initiatives,
yes,
100 million lives,
yes,
and
the 100 million lives.
The Virus C initiatives,
exactly.
and the Women and Children Initiative, Health Initiative, and many health initiatives that
all the medical units now,
and also obesity initiatives.
Exactly. Yes, you
which
can
was
check.
also very unprecedented for a president to set plans to fight obesity in a nation. It was unprecedented, and international media outlets have talked about that, and also we carried out those initiatives even to some countries in Africa. Yes. So it was not only targeting Egypt, but also some countries in Africa while we were chairing the African Union.
Yes, absolutely. And we can mention also something, it is indirect development happened to the people. We can mention this point. The streets, the bridge, the all infrastructures in Egypt.
The network, infrastructure network.
Yes, exactly. He think about our psychology part. I mean with this, very before, if you want to drive from one place to another here in Egypt, maybe you take 15 minutes to think, Dina, how long will take the traffic. Nowadays, all Egypt, everywhere is like, you know, dream. I see it like a dream. We found a proper streets. Even the investors, when they come, they will understand that we have a president that he put the infrastructure in a proper way. You can mention how, yes, we are the first pillar in this big vision for our president Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, because of when he caring about our psychology part and our morale and you know, the vibes when you are going to your work morning or early morning or any time. This also reflecting the human capital.
I guess it's a sort of a new modern culture and modern way of planning that is translated into time means money.
Yes.
If I am saving time, then I am saving time, money, and I am also going early to my work, not wasting too much time from where I mean, on trying to mobilize from one place to the other and move. And that's why I will be able to make more money. I mean, he was, you know, taking Egypt to a whole new level. I mean, with a new concept, a new philosophy. That's what he meant when he focused over the infrastructure projects.
Yes, exactly.
And also to invest, to attract foreign investment.
Yes, exactly.
Investors or investing companies won't never be able to think or be, I mean, enthusiastic to be able to invest here in the country without facilitations.
Yes.
On top of them is the infrastructure
the
projects.
foreign investors, when just start thinking about Egypt, that means you have a, you know, the demand and supply in a labor economy will change because there will be vacancies for the Egyptian citizens.
And also job opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at all those projects, the housing projects, infrastructural projects, the 1.5 million faddans, the agricultural projects, industrial projects. Those are all opening. I mean, inaugurating a totally new capital for Egypt. Al-Jumhuriyya Al-Jadida also, and the administrative capital and the new Alamein are all in its own right. Besides that, we are developing the face of Egypt and beautifying it. We're opening venues for job opportunities for citizens in Europe.
And this is what we are doing. We need to product and to be proactive, and this is what we have. Once you have a job opportunity, all the new generations, they will have his financial incomes, and this is the balance that all the humans is looking for. So he will start his, if we are going back to Maslow's needs pyramids, so once I'm covering my financial needs and I started covering my social needs, I will be a very, you know, stable person. So I will be a very, you know, living in a very healthy environment, and this is what he is looking for.
Also talking about the sequence of his social initiatives and industrial initiatives and economic initiatives and all that, Hayat Karima, or decent life, with one of the major and outstanding ideas that were presented by the president at first, and then it was given to the different, sectors in society, the communities, the NGOs, the different institutions in Egypt, also facilitating. I mean, totally 100% Egyptian made. An initiative like Decent Life was made. Talk to us about that particularly.
Yes, this word we can say it is in one word. If we say Hayat Karima or we said a decent life, we can mention that these two words has the 360 dimensions for any proper human being in this country. Okay, so it is Hayat Karima, decent life, including all the pillars in your life, education, health, and you know, health,
services, facilitations,
everything. He said it in two words: the decent life. So he wants his human capital to have the decent life. So after we have the decent life, you can't think. Once you are unhappy and you have a stable and you have a sustainable country as we are now, you're gonna think. The innovations will be increased. The creativity. We are the country that has whale, that has Taha Hussein. We are the country that born here scientifics, that they are, you know, we have an honor that they are Egyptians. That's why he's always thinking about how I develop my people, the culture, beliefs, knowledge, awareness. He doesn't want us to be, you know, at the back stages. No, we have to be, in
At the front line.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, you know, we need also, if we, you know, when you have a project, you have a project leader, but all the people in these projects, they have to work. No one can succeed alone. So he will give, and he gave, by the way, a lot. So this is our time also. We have to work, and we have to help, we have to support, and we have to believe to our leader. If this is the leadership, he's talking in a frankly speaking, he is very transparent, he's giving us all the pillars and where is Egypt now. So I think the leadership way that he is using and covering the transparency with his people and his countries, the citizens, that makes him succeed. That's why we are succeed, by the way. This also makes some of a sustainable life in all the Egyptians and make them, they can continue. Al-Alamein, it has an amazing, these summer events, which makes the inventors come to Egypt and think about us more and more. We never stop. The monorail, Lina, makes us never stop.
Monorail also is very important.
It's a very, not more than important, it is amazing project. What is this? He's a visionary president. That's why he knows where we are going.
Also, one of his unprecedented projects or visions, I mean, he's always also surprising the world with his initiatives and with his vision. I mean, look at how he plans to move on with events while he is working to develop with Egypt. He also called for last year and this year also to be the year for civil society. And he called for different groups of civil societies and institutions and people who are interested in civil work to be able to unite together and form the coalition. And they were strongly backed and empowered by different sectors of the government. And as a result, Hayya Karima was fortified and became much stronger because each of those groups and institutions, they chose the spot they're going to work on, and that's how Hayya Karima boomed in its work. If you like to elaborate.
He is working on our, you know, your image. He is also, because Hayya Karima start giving the Egyptian citizen how to believe in himself, his or her image, okay? Because once you are starting to make a new strategy, a new life, you have to scanning internally and externally, and this is what happens in our strategy. Internally, all these projects that we are talking about it's very clear to all the people. And he didn't said that I will make our Hayya Karima or the disciplined life in Egypt. He gave us also the integrity outside Egypt. We have to mention
the leading role.
Absolutely.
With foreign policy. Of course, he was
all
distinguished by his
they
foreign
are talking
policy.
about leader. About
Exactly.
So that's why.
And mind that not only they were talking about that, but they were talking about that at the time Egypt was, accused of leading a military coup, which was a total lie by the people who were supporting the terrorist brotherhood organization. So he made it to change or move us from that point, from the extreme right to the extreme left. But then going back to the civil society, civil society in Egypt, as to speak, we're talking about building the Egyptian character, and civil society have a great role in, serving society and also, supporting that particular point of building the Egyptian character. So civil society has been there for years in Egypt, have been working silently, but wasn't achieving much because they didn't have an official role. They were not recognized by the governments. Different governments. But then came our President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and he came and he recognized their importance. and gave it specification, and also directed different governorates to be able to recognize them and facilitate things for them.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Okay, after you recognize your importance internally and externally, and
how did that help building the Egyptian character?
Absolutely. We have to understand where is your position. You know,
exactly.
He spotted, this is your position, this is what you deserve, my people, my kids, or my, as he always mentioning this in all his speech. All these countries, he said
you have to be assigned.
Yes, absolutely. And they have to understand.
Sometimes you have the best qualifications, but when nobody is assigning you,
yes,
he's killing your potential.
But our leader, he did this in a very proper way, in a very scientific way. He said that everyone in this country, he has to align to my vision, my strategy. And nowadays, everyone knows what we are doing and what is the Egyptian citizens' positions, again, internally and externally. Also, our president started making the development about the digitalizations in all the governmental sectors. Before, we have also some, you know, obstacles to go to a governmental offices to finish your papers or banking sectors. He didn't forget this file also. Once you have the applications on your personal mobile, you can transfer your money. You can finish all the paperwork while you are sitting in your home. Isn't this, you know, a recognition for your importance? Your, you know, he's respect you.
And your time.
Yes, and your time and your health and even your mindset. So that's why.
Are your interests also.
Absolutely. Now we can do everything like every country, and the foreigners even. I met some of foreigners in this summer. They you know, they surprised. This is Egypt, you know. So that means our president, he believes in us. That's why he succeeds in his journey.
Exactly. But also talking about digitalizing life that came with COVID. I mean, COVID, sarcastically, it came as a two-sided weapon. Of course, it came as, as a pandemic, but at the same time, it had speeded up one of the main goals of sustainable development plans, or 17 goals, which is digitalization.
Yes.
We were planning for digitalizing lives, and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have started off with Port Said and totally digitalized the whole government, and then to follow suit were other governorates that are already now digitalized.
Yes.
But then came COVID, and we stayed at home. The whole world stayed at home because it was working from indoors. And from here, we started digitalizing our lives, and started by e-banking and
e-commerce, e-marketing, e-learning, everything.
But the pace, I mean, if someone is going to talk about President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in history, he's going to distinguish that man firsthand by the quickest man on earth to execute projects, to achieve goals.
In no time.
To be able to finish.
Even he exceed the smart
missions.
Yes,
I mean,
the smart objectives, or even that, yes.
And that's what really happened with digitalization.
Absolutely.
We were one of the leading countries to digitalize most of the governorates.
Yes.
Now most of the governors, like 14 governors,
yes, absolutely. Now. We are talking about the digitalizations.
So digitalization was also some means of, was a way to build the new generations, or direct the new generations to a whole new concept of digitalization and technology. And also plans for digitalizing even the health file was on the, was put on the table also.
Okay, when we talk about digitalizations, as you mentioned, he started this topic maybe years ago, but with the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, we have to work very fast because there is no another choice, especially the education. So e-learning and the schools, kids in KGs, undergrad, they have to work with digital tools over the old programs and applications that had been installed in laptops and PCs. So all the society in Egypt, before we start resistant this type of transformation. No, we cannot do it. It's not security. There is a lot of risk. But when coming, you know, the positive part in COVID-19, the positive part that you don't have another solution, so you have to finish your education via any kind of applications and all the pillars of this life. So now, even after the COVID-19 pandemics, all the Egyptian people, they can use the applications, and the digitalizations had been, you know, embedded in our life. We cannot see it, but it is embedded in our life. And all, even the housewife, they are using the applications and the digitalizations now in all the Egyptian homes.
That's very much true.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but we can't wrap up this episode without talking about one of his main missions. That man, our president, that we're so proud of, once called himself, I would love to be acknowledged in history by a minister for women.
Yes.
And one of his
this
main
will be
goals,
very good for us, Dina.
right? One of his main goals is to empower and enforce women. He empowered the laws that enforce women, and also he assigned like more than almost 8 women in cabinets for almost ever since like for 6 years.
Yes.
And he has changed the whole. He even eradicated the quota in the parliament for women, which means that on equal foot, women and men. I mean, the amount of rights that were given to women at his time is unbelievable.
Yes.
You won't be able to just talk about it even for a week. So let's also not forget to talk about it.
Of course, the Women Empowerment File, it's a huge file, as you mentioned. All the rights for women, he didn't forget it. And you know, the ministries here in Egypt, maybe we have a lot of ministries, and they are a woman, and they achieve the objectives. And you
one
know,
of them was also heading 2 ministries.
Yes,
once.
Exactly.
Dr. Sahar Nas.
Yes, Dr. Sahar Nas. So I think he didn't forget any files, and maybe he has a lot of files, more and more, for our brilliant life. We have to feel literally, as you mentioned, proud of our President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
Of course, but as we are wrapping up this edition with this very important edition, because it's talking about all the developments that have been taken ever since we left that dark, phase of time under the reign of the terrorist organization, moved to another step, and another totally different world. But where do you see the Egyptian character moving? How do you see the awareness as a human development consultant and a professor at one of the prominent universities in Egypt? Where do you see the new generations? Do you feel that there is a grave change? I mean, there is a very clear change in characters.
Yes.
Post the revolutions, I mean, after President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi came into office, I mean, is it very clear that we have changed?
Yes, absolutely. I think, yes, we have maybe before a baby steps, but you can figure it out in a new generation. You can find the language of talking, the way of thinking, the self-confidence that had been, the competencies that had been built in organizations and in schools, in universities, Dina. You can find out that the new generations coming, these are the future leaders for Egypt. With this mindset, type of education, how to talk, the proper communication, I can feel it, especially when, as a professor in my audience, they know everything. They became, a good reader. Even the rumors doesn't affect them like before. Even in social media, doctor, we have been so this and this. And do you think this is true? No, I think no. They are trying, just making some rumors about our country and so on. But I think nowadays we've been very open-minded, more than more. Life is just. I said always, because of the digitalizations. Now you can get the info from everywhere in the world, So that's why, yes, the generations is going forward with a different type of thinking, with a different mind, culture, beliefs. So no, we still have more and more in time, but I think nowadays we move very fast, so we have to continue.
Hopefully, inshallah. And on that
Inshallah.
note, we're going to be ending it here. Of course, Dr. Hanadi Ragae, you're an institutional development consultant and human development professor at one of the prominent universities in Cairo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming over.
Thank you very
and
much.
hope to see you again very soon.
Inshallah.
All the best to you.
Thank you very much.
Our real pleasure. And I guess this would bring us to the end of this edition of Windows on Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.